Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Red Parrot channel. I am your host Mary Ellen. This is an episode of Slow Stitching Sew Saturday where I take an hour and I spend some time doing fiber related stuff because I have gotten out of the habit of doing so, and this is a great way for me to show up, check in, do all the things. So this episode is going to be exclusively related to a meditation scroll. This is 100% the responsibility of K3N because I have been hot to try this, and her last video, Park Home Life, where she did a really lovely, slow museum wander through her her meditation scrolls, and it was so lovely. Highly recommend. So here's my scroll. This is a piece of doweling. At my local dollar store, they have little bags that are full of just round pieces of wood, and I have glued two that are about the same size together with wood glue. They're not perfect, but not bad. Yeah, okay, so spool. It is, I think, 2.5 inches. It would fit 2.5 inch fabric quite well. I had done this, which is the top of a sheet that was part of a dye that I had done. I am now forgetting completely what I dyed this in. Possibly acorns? Might have been acorn, not sure. I know I dyed it though. And so you'll see the very, very hard lines of the sheet folds. Even though I've wound it this way, these need to be ironed out. And if you are going to spend the next 30 hours working on a piece of fabric, it is, pardon me, worth it to iron. So this is the before and this is the after. It's not perfect, but it is better. And you can absolutely see where the dye has been, which is super fun. It's like that's dark line there. That's a wear line. Would have been tucked underneath and that folded over. Is there any other spots like that? Yeah, there's pretty much this whole line. So I'm thinking that should be this side. So that's the back side, and then this is the front side. So this is, how long is this? What are we working with here? That's 12, 24, kind of 36-ish. That's pretty good. So we've got our base, we've got our spool. Next thing we need is our fabric. And I am going to use this, which is the offcuts of the dyeing that I have done to create the hexes. This is just a, you know what, we could keep that. You don't know. You don't know. So we're going to use this. I have this orange that's just been out. No idea where it came from, but it's just been out. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's a fall thing. I don't know. Realize I do not have an essential element, and that is some pins. So please hold. Okay, I am back. K3N uses applique pins, and I am obliged to say applique because there's applique and applique. And I think she says applique, and we in North America say applique. Accent on a different syllable. And I do not have applique pins. I have just pins. Okay, so where are we up to? So I need to sort of pick an end, and I don't know what end to pick. So let's pick this end for no other reason that I don't want to deal with weirdness right off the hop. Okay, so the directions were as follows. take fabric, plonk, though she did not say plonk, put, place, that's better, place, and pin. We're practically finished. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. There. Clearly I'm starting off with the bold colors. She did an entire scroll of yellow, which was really pretty. She being Catherine, K3N. Nope. This? Sure. Do that. And so what you do is you place material on, the bits on, the scraps on, and then you baste them, and then you stitch, long running stitches, and change as you feel the need. See that? Sure, we'll do that. And the point being that it is not a snippet roll, so not necessarily for the purposes of cutting apart and doing something more with it, but simply to have the pleasure of stitching something and be able to look at how the fabric behaves and how your heart rate can slow down. I'm running out of fabric. So I can cut off the ends, I suppose. No, I like that better. Nope. Yep. Oh, yes. Yes, please. That fits awfully nicely. There. I am going to have to cut those bits off. Let me get all the So I am getting super fussy now, going, I don't want to do that one. I want one that's got lots of color in it. Ooh, that's yummy. That, and we've got that yellow. I might be able to just do yellow. Yellow. Oh. This comes from something. I think this comes from stitching from last year's K3N Stitch a Week, and this was me doing a quilt square. But that quilt square fits nigh perfectly, so we'll keep that. I like that. So I think we're gonna go for some of the darkest, or it's yellow or foncé. Oops, did I drop that? No, I didn't. Nope. I've got all that. See how far we get with this color stuff. Yeah. I do like that. See, the orange isn't too far off. Should I keep pinning? Keep pinning. There. Ooh, that would be fun. Just fold it over. I like that. There. Let's do that. Pull that a little bit further over. One of the things that I'm aware of is that as you sew things, the flat sort of contracts. So that happens a lot in weaving as well. When you say, okay, my warp is, let's say, 100 a meter, and there is math that says, but you're only going to get a 90 length because your the weaving process is going to do that. But on a very small scale, because you're going to have threads going here and here and here and here and here, and this has got to happen, and you are losing the length. And so that's standard wisdom says that's about oh, there we are, that's better. Standard wisdom says what? It's about 10% loss. Yeah, that's the right side. Okay. Squish it down a little. Keep that. So we're close to the end. Ends right here. I kind of want to, what do I want to do with this? I kind of want to just pick this out. No reason why I can't. It's mine. Somebody, possibly K3, is going, no, leave it. Ort. Yum. Yum. So worth it. Pick one. There. I feel like that's going to come out. And some of these are going to be quite thick. I think when K3N was doing it, she was doing a much more sophisticated material lineup. This would be an amazing thing to do with just fabric like this, but we're doing our first one, so we don't need to be super complicated quite yet. Okay, let's do that. I like that better. Let's do that. Let's do on the edges, and then we'll fix it in post. That's what we'll do. There we are. I have been so looking forward to doing this. I may have already mentioned that. It is still true. There. Yeah, we can do that. A little wee light one. Okay, only have this left. No. Okay, we'll start at that end. I also have bits. So I'm not going to do this, but if you had just sort of little fabric scraps, and I have so many of these, like little fabric scraps and bits. This would have been from a Blue Jay thing I was doing, but that's like so cool. Focus, focus, focus. Wow, that's a lot of rotating. But we got there in the end. There we are. There. Sometimes I have a hard time figuring out which is the right side and which is the wrong side. And I try and look for little splodges or little edges. Don't know if you can sort of see there's some color variation there, and then to flip it over and see if it's any better or worse on the other side. I can't tell. It's my take home. That's what I wanted to do. There we are. We've got a fuzzy little edge, which is very good. Okay. Got that. Ooh, it looks dark outside. Not super thrilled with that, but it'll do in a pinch. Okay. Okay, so this is our little train. Okay, so I need to cut some of this and I need to fill in some blanks. So let's do this one. And I'm giving myself a little bit of an edge so that I can trim it off later. There. There. These are not necessarily the ideal scissors, but I am going to say too lazy to get up and get fabric scissors. There. And then I want this one. There. There we go. There we go. Not going to worry. So this needs a line. Oof, yeah. That looks like a fish. Look at that. That would be really cool to highlight. Don't know that I'm going to, but it would be cool. Or we could do it upside down and do, yep. Nope. Sorry. Back to this way. Alrighty. There we are. There. Okay. And we need a little splodge here. This little fiddling about is harder than it looks. There. A nice tuckaroo. Okay. And then, oops. I want to put some of these, like this one, somewhere. This whole triangle-y bit is really interesting. Ooh, yeah. Material? It is. And I might be able to use this. K3N uses sort of sometimes fabric to create ends. That might be a useful end. Okay, step 1 is done. Step 1, pin fabric. Step 2, get some basting thread. And we're going to baste this maybe 2 rows across, two straight lines. Take all the pins out, and then we will be ready to do our thing. So taking the pins out then allows us to not have to fight all of the time with our fabric. And I like this better than the gray because it's warm. And at this point, K3N also has a German expression that is long string lazy girl German expression about sewing, and a professionally trained embroiderer will say, well, you know what, you take 18 inches and that's all you need. But if you're lazy, you're like, I want to have all of the string. And I'm going to have all of the string. It's fairly long, and I know I will have tears because it's not particularly high quality thread, but that's okay. I'm just going to slide it through. I have a block of beeswax. Just sort of settles down the thread. Okay. Oh, look at us go. And so what we are going to be doing is the following stitch. So I'm going to be starting at this end, and I am going to be just taking the tiniest little bite out of the top and then traveling about a ½ inch, and then doing a little bite and then traveling about a ½ inch, half, quarter, somewhere in between, whatever your, what did Catherine call it? Your signature stitch distance, whatever is you're comfortable with. And so what you're doing is you're just creating this little baste so that on the top of the fabric, all you see are these little kind of pinpricks of the color, and that will fade away. And then on the back, you'll see sort of long kind of stringy strings. But that's where we're going. That's our next 10 miles. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to put a knot in. Okay. Also really important, put a knot in. That was very anticlimactic for me. Oh, never mind. Okay. Look at that, practically done. And your bites are whatever your bites look like. Your links are whatever your links look like. It's fine. So see, there's little itty bitty teeny tinies. I'm not comfortable with the way this is being stitched at the moment, which is fine. You'll be able to figure out what makes sense to you. That was a big one. And I brought my iPad because once I get going here, we'll be able to do a conversation prompt. Because I think sewing is one of the few things that I can do and talk at the same time. Yep. Nope. Lazy Mädchen. In the unlikely event, K3N, you are listening, if you could write out that German expression, that would be a really fun thing to stitch on a, I'm going to call them serendipity scrolls or not, meditation scrolls. I could look it up. In fact, that's what I will do. There is no point in giving busy people more work to do. It's weird because I don't see that, and I kind of want to do it on that side. I'm not going to, but it's my current trouble. Okay, where are we at here? Okay, next one up. Okay, do we think we have a rhythm? Okay, so I think we do. So let's see what our prompt says. Okay, this is LearnHip random conversation question. So it's learnhip.com. Press start to begin. This is not the start button. That is. Oh, well, that's depressing. What kinds of businesses might have trouble surviving in the future? Ooh, how do you decide what books to read? Oh, that's a yummy question. How do I decide what books to read? Well, I have a lot to say on that. So, thing one is I think everybody either knows or can see in the comments, I have some mental health issues, circle of care, everything is well managed, no reason to be concerned. Point being, I used to be a voracious reader, like read. And I can't read anymore. I have the skill to do it, and I can read. I do not have the attention span to do so or the mental energy to read for long periods of time. And I suppose I could use audiobooks. Something that I just have never looked into. Anyways, how did I decide? So when I was a kid, I lived near a library that was an old castle-y mansion, you know, those kinds of houses that are like really, really big and really, really elaborate. Anyways, it was converted into a library, which I'm just going to say this out loud. That is the nature that every single library should have. You should have some kind of elegance to your library, to your local library. Because cement is not conducive to romance. And not Harlequin kind of things. I mean, the romance of reading. Particularly when you're a kid. Okay, we are not on the topic yet. How do you decide what books to read? So when I was a kid, my decision making was, is this a book that can fit in my bag? And I was given a plastic grocery bag that was kind of like this by this, about the size of this, maybe about that wide, and I could just put all of the books that I wanted to read in there, with every guarantee that I would be able to read them. There was no question. But this was, I think, the way that my parents could put a reasonable a reasonable limit on how many books I would take out. So what would I do? I would, as a kid, I would just make the rounds. I would go through, up and down, every single aisle. And I would, so local libraries here use the Dewey Decimal System, and I later worked in a library. And so I was quite familiar with the progression of numbers, and I would start at 001 and I would end up at 999, and I would just go up and down and say, is there anything in any of these books that is interesting to me? What was interesting? What captures my attention? So new books always captured my attention, because at some point, as a kid with that kind of reading habit, you work your way through the library. So if there's like, oh, I've never seen that one before, that was usually something. I would not pick up certain kinds of books. Anything where animals died, like Old Yeller? No, never. No, no. Old Yeller, I don't think is nonfiction, but you get the idea. Nothing that was scary. What would I like? I liked more than one thing happening at once in a book. So, for example, let's say we are talking about, I'm trying to think. So, this is my mom's book, not mine, and this is the one that jumps to mind the most clearly. So she was really, really interested in volcanology, so the study of volcanoes. And Krakatoa is a volcano. There's a book on Krakatoa, and it's not just scientific description, but the story of the investigation. Biographies, autobiographies. Oh, yum. Oh my gosh. I did love, just tell me the story of the individual. Tell me the story of how you came up with it or how you figured it out. Those kinds of books were really, really attractive to me. What else? So in fiction, is kid books. So the UK has got a very large corner on the children's literature market. Just going to say that. So, is that a cat hair? Something. I don't know. So there were authors who basically made their absolute career on children's books. So there would be people like Enid Blyton jumps to mind. Then there were all of so not from the UK, but Louisa May Alcott. Like if there was an author that I had previously enjoyed, that would be another way for me to get introduced to it, certainly as a kid. As an adult, I really loved a certain flavor of mystery novel. And Certainly, I did not like who am I going to think of? Police procedurals. Oh my gosh, not a fan. I don't care. But give me something kind of soft and cozy. I'm on board for that. How else do I decide? What other books do I... If there is something that I need to know, it's like, oh, I am currently interested in, I don't know, make up something, crocheting hats. I'll get like 7 books on hat crocheting. Oh, that fell off. That's not ideal. Uh-oh. I think it goes this way. There's trouble. There's trouble. So I would take a lot of, like a specialized topic out. That doesn't fit yet. Okay, well, we're just going to wing this. Do this part. I think I'm going to have to do a lot of edge patching as I do this, which is fine, not a problem. Where are we at here? Stop. Ow! There is always new books. So most libraries will have, here's the new books selection. And so looking for the latest in something. The librarians who check out your books, gonna say this, they are super happy to talk about books, like super happy. So if you ask them, hey, is there any book that is kind of like this but by a different author, they'll help you out. They'll like, they will be so happy that you asked. Okay, gonna bring that through that way. So one of two things is either gonna, oh, that's a fold over that way. So that's green. Maybe this is the lesson. Oh, there we are. That goes in there. Maybe it's that. And that way I get rid of that green, which really doesn't go. And then this is going to be like a yellow warm, which if I could copy K3N any more explicitly, I don't know that I could. Because she has a, this is only yellow fabric snippet roll that I really liked. She had a couple that I really liked. There was another one that was just bonkers colorful that I just adored. It was all reds and oranges and pinks and purples, and it was so yum. So I think that's how I choose books. If I hear about something, and I spend a lot of time in the nonfiction. I really like nonfiction books. Just a story about a person that did a thing, don't really care. But if it's a biography or like a nonfiction story of a person who did a thing, I am far more likely to pay attention to it and read it. I'm just not literally a fiction reader, which I suppose is okay. But that was all before, and now I don't read anything, really. Which I periodically will pick up. I have 2 books at the moment that I am reading. One is very thin, fairly large print, and the other is sort of a little bit thicker, but they are sort of full of, air quotes, short stories. The first one is by a previous Blue Jays manager, John Gibbons, and it is a lovely book, but it's hard for me to, again, to sit down and concentrate for a prolonged period of time. I can't sit down and read for 2 hours. I can sit down and maybe read for like 10 or 15 minutes. Can't even do magazines. Super bummer. And the other one is a Peter Mayle book. Peter Mayle is a British expat who went to live in France. And he's somewhat hilarious because he's getting into scrapes and just there's the whole English-French thing and French food and all the things. He did, the books are like A Year in Provence, Another Year in Provence. It's, and I know you're going to be shocked when I tell you this. He moved to Provence. Who else do I like? Bill Bryson. The other thing that I love, absolutely love a humorous essay. So people like Bill Berry? John Berry? He's an American humorist. I think his last name is Barry, B-A-R-R-Y. I remember reading Irma Bombeck books. Just a humorous essay. Absolutely. Oh, who's the Canadian guy? Oh, what's his name? My mom and I used to read those books and we would cry. We would be laughing so hard. And he was basically a gentleman farmer. Like he came from the city and he sort of went out into and became a gentleman farmer. And my mom grew up on a farm. So she found what he was up to and what was happening to him just to the power of the sun funny. I mean, I thought it was funny just because it was really well written. And then when I would read it out to my mom or she would read me something and she would just be killing herself, I would be laughing as much because just she was laughing. You know what I mean? Like when that happens, it's like I'm laughing because you're laughing. I have no idea what's funny, but it's funny, so I'm going to laugh. My mom and I used to do that all the time. Oh, what was the guy's name? Is it okay that if I stop this and look him up? Oh. So somebody's yelling, yes, please look it up, because I'm sure that I've got book people, a couple of book people. So stand by while I'm going to put this on pause. Okay, so I am really glad I didn't make you suffer through all of that, because there was a lot of brain scraping that needed to happen. So the author that I am thinking of is Dan Needles, Needles, and the series name that always appears is Wingfield. So Letters from Wingfield Farm, Wingfield's Progress, Wingfield's Folly, Wingfield on Brown, blah, 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 blah. And so he's sort of like, he takes another Canadian town in Ontario and he creates a fictional town. And so his fictional town is Larkspur, Ontario, in Persephone Township. Wow. So I highly recommend if you want something that is sweet and gentle and funny and lovely and just nice. And of course, blisteringly funny if you have any passing knowledge of what it is to be a farmer. Wow, so that was a good one. I mean, that was a good, so two things came up as a result of that. One, I was able to talk and do some things, and I had a good conversation prompt. And I gave you a book recommendation. Look at that. Look at that. I tell you what, slow stitching is where it's at. On the kilt update and also the coat update, because we are absolutely just screaming into playoffs. I haven't gotten either of them done yet because apparently I can't, I can't sew when I am that level of anxious. And I am that level of anxious, not in a bad way, but just, you know, you want your team to win kind of way. That's where I'm at. Look at that. Look at that. We nearly made it. And so that took me almost an hour to do. We're at about 50 minutes-ish. Maybe a little less because I put you on hold to get the book recommendation. So my first Google question was Canadian humorist. Long list. Apparently we're a funny bunch. But there is a taste. Needles is very much like I'm going to say, what's his name? And you're going to say, well, what is his name? Not the same, but the same kind of idea as Stephen Leacock. Different time and place entirely, but Stephen Leacock also had the same idea of, he wrote about a fictitious town that was maybe not entirely fictitious. Oof. Here. I'm going to be looking forward to having this actually do the stitching. One of the things that I'm considering, even when K3N was doing her roundup, is like, oh, now I know that I can, I can and I want and I will do this, is thinking about what thread count I will use. So in embroidery, this comes as a 6-thread skein. And do I do a 2 skein, a 3 skein, a 1 skein? I think maybe 1 skein would be really fun. Because it's very small and thin, and it would be soft, maybe. Okay, and we're done. Yep, and then one more out the back. It's not going to matter. Wow, look at us brave. So this is what the back looks like. So you can see that line. That's the sewing line. Oh, I clearly can't sew a straight line. That's okay. I'm not going to take the pins out until I get the second line done up here. And then that second line will be, the pins will come out. So I'll do that later on today, I think. There's another baseball game, not my team, not even my division. And I so appreciate everybody who does not follow baseball and has no idea what I'm talking about to go, yeah, blah, blah, blah. She's really excited about something. That is really what the take-home message is. Yeah, and then once we get that done, then we will be prepped and ready to go. And the pins can come out and they're like, oh, look at that. Even look at at us. It even fits. It'll fit. Oh, yes, yes. So this can be my very non-posh name, Summer 2025 Hexie Scroll, because that's essentially what it is, or scroll number 1. Also very not thrilling. Okay, I got to keep this. Let's pull some of this off. When I thrift, there's quite often threads that I know are not going to be garment worthy, i.e. to put in a sewing machine and then go. And so this is one of them. It's old. I don't know where it's come from. It says Excel. Okay. This, on the other hand, is new sort of thread. So when I get this kind of stuff, this is a perfect use of it. And then when you're done, haha, you get a spool. There. I'm going to do another little run through, run over. There, okay. Good job. Okay, I'm going to do another knot. I just want to see how much time I do have left. Oh, okay. Got a couple of minutes. Okay, there we are. Bing. Oh. Okay, so let's start her up. Wow, this is a long thread. I'm not gonna lie. I just want to go far enough to take the pin out. There we are. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. There. And while I have my iPad up and open, let's do the Das Mädchen thing. Okay, and then I can do that. And you can already see it's starting to be just like super nice. Okay, so let's do that. And what am I Googling? I am Googling back. Long thread lazy girl, German. Ah, langes Fädchen, faules Mädchen. So for anybody who is interested, right there. Langes Fädchen, faules Mädchen. It says the old German saying, langes Fädchen, faules Mädchen, translate as long thread, lazy girl. So let's write that down, because that could be a really fun thread project. What's this? Are you a piece of paper I can use? You might be a piece of paper I can use. Okay, so langes Fädchen, ADCHEN, faules Mädchen. So in German, nouns are capitalized. So in this translation, they have capitalized langes and faules. I don't know if that's supposed to be a poem, but I would like do it like that, like a poem, so you would have everybody capitalized, but you don't need to. But Fächen is thread, and that's girl. And Faulus is lazy. Lanus is long. There we are. Okay, so I am absolutely a Faulus Mädchen. Anyways, that is all for now. I hope you really enjoy your Saturday. I am super, super excited to get started on the rest of this second string, and then we will get to actually doing some stitch meditation, and I really do need to get the kilt and the coat done, plus some socks. Anyways, that's all for now. Please take very good care of yourself. Stay out of trouble. Always love you lots, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.